everyone. I'm Sean Thomson, and this is the Talking in Your Sleep show, broadcasting on most major internet radio streams and available free to you from the amazing Kickstarter donators and myself. I'm broadcasting to you live from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, a steel town with a serious blue-collar culture, and I'm proud to say that. This is a show about everything that's on our minds. It is live and interactive, and I hope that you enjoy what you hear. If you're checking it out for the first time, head over to the website, talkinginyoursleepshow.com, and have a look at what's going on. The show is entirely self-produced, so please forgive any bumps in the road. At times, I'm like an old scratched record, trying to mix in with all the digital stuff I have going on here in the studio. So feel free to point and laugh at me if the audio cuts out or I stumble over my words and all that failure stuff. I'll figure it out. And with your help, we'll have a good show every time. Well, this show I'd like to talk about money. It's been on my mind a lot lately, and after reading a few articles, it really got me going. I think we'd spend a little time talking about money, but more importantly, how the money relates to us and how people use it, how it's used against us, and sort of what we do with it. Now, like I said before, this show is not focused on any particular subject, and if you have any show suggestions I would like, or you'd like to do an interview with me, by all means, contact the show right away. The website has many different ways of getting a hold of me, and I'm sure we can work out something. The phone lines will be open, and I'll be taking calls on anything you want to talk about. Maybe you have something to say about today's show's topics, but hey, maybe not. Whatever's on your mind there. All right, onward. So, I saw a factoid in the news maybe a month and a half ago now, and I'm sure things haven't changed too much, that Canada is amassing corporate cash hoards faster than any other country in the G7. So I'd like to talk just a little bit about what that means. The G7 is, well, from the Wikipedia entry, is a group of seven consisting of finance ministers and central bank governors, real party people, of seven advanced economies: Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The European Union is also represented within the G7. The G7 are the seven wealthiest major developed nations on Earth by national net wealth, representing more than 63% of the net global wealth, which at the time of this article was written as $241 trillion. Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about a lot of money. We're talking about a lot of countries here. Canada's corporate cash hoard was $626 billion in the last quarter of 2013. Now, what that means is that the companies in Canada have been amassing cash hoards, as in profits, but not spending it. It sits in their banks or wherever they like, but usually not in the same country's banks, as Canada's banks will, they don't want to be taxed on the money and things like that. I'm sure we're all familiar with offshore banking, things like this. But they're amassing huge profits and not putting it back into the economy, taking $626 billion in the last quarter of 2013 out of the country, but not putting it back into the country, at least not to a measurable amount. To put it in perspective, Canada's national debt is $618 billion. It's almost $619 billion. So this amount of money is... it's more than the actual national debt of the country. Just put it in perspective here, Canada, almost $619 billion national debt. America has a $17.4 trillion debt. Now that's... Canada's sitting about 35 million people. America, 350 million people. That's a lot. They have 10 times the population, a lot more people. Anyways, to get back to it here, one of the issues when we talk about the money and the profits and these companies making just hand over fist cash and not spending it back to the people who help them make it, basically, the people who are spending and buying, the middle class. One of the issues that came out of the news recently was that real issues. It was an election issue, actually. It was the temporary foreign workers sort of policies and legislations that were coming around in Canada. Canada's had an issue with the temporary foreign worker thing, not in so much as people are against it. It's absolutely, in my opinion, it's absolutely necessary. There's a large gray area of labor force that Nothing is as simple as, you just walk into a country, get citizenship, then you work, of course. No, it takes time to get citizenship. Canada, of course, is very open arms, very welcoming to people from other countries, especially those that want to work hard, of course. So the temporary foreign worker thing came around in the news. The statistic was that about 338,000 of temporary foreign workers are working in Canada. That's a large number. What that implies is people without citizenship are holding full-time positions in various companies and jobs around the country. A lot of dummies around here were mad that foreign workers were stealing Canadian jobs from Canadians, stealing our jobs. That tired old argument. And the other people were mad at the whole money side of it all. The people were getting paid, but they weren't Canadian citizens, so they're taking the money, not necessarily spending it here, maybe sending it back home. These kind of ignorant arguments. I think an objective look at it proves that the situation is much more complex than that. And I think we should maybe just talk about that a little bit. The foreign workers in Canada make up about 0.96% of the workforce, not even 1% of the overall workforce of the country. It's not very much for a country with a relatively small population. Like I said, 33 million, 35 million. California has more people than all of Canada. So, yeah, we're not that big of a country up here. The real problem is why the workers are here in the first place and how they're treated. And this is the thing that really hits home with me, is that, money's money and politics is politics. The law is the law, and that's all well and good. Canada, of course, has some pretty upstanding laws and legislation to protect our interests and things. But here's an example here. A temporary foreign worker, when they get hired, so they're from Chile, they're from all over the world. They're from South America, they're from Africa. When they get hired in this sort of program, they would come to Canada, and you work for a company. Now, a lot of these jobs are labor jobs, naturally. An issue up here recently has been the service industry, like in restaurants and things like that. But part of the rules of the game, if you're a temporary foreign worker, is that you cannot leave the company. You can't if you get a job offer from a different company, or you're really not happy, you came here, decided it's not for you, you can't leave the company. You can't go work for somebody else. If you do, you'll be deported, or there'll be problems, problems of some kind, not necessarily straight to deportation, but I think you get the picture. Temporary foreign workers are paid a lower wage than the same work of a Canadian. Generally speaking, these companies sign a big contract with the province that allows them to pay the worker less because they're part of the temporary foreign worker program. The company doesn't have to pay them as much as a citizen, which is, in my mind, a real issue. You're doing the same job for less money, and I see something fundamentally wrong with that, of course. When the contract is over with these companies, you will be deported. You're done. So you did your stint here, and that was very nice. Canada, thank you very much. A big corporation, thank you very much. And you go home. There might be ways to arrange to stay, probably through re-signing of contracts. The temporary foreign workers thing is it's not very simple, so I'm sure there might be ways to stay. But for the vast majority of temporary foreign workers, they're sent back home when they're done. They can be deported when the contract is over, and they can the company can just call it quits, end the contract early. So for whatever reason the company sees fit, I'm sure that they'll have their paperwork very tight, and they can just go ahead and send you home there, which is maybe that'd be cause some serious family or money issues for certain individuals, of course, right? Usually the jobs that this involves, getting involved in a temporary foreign worker program of any kind, is usually not a dream job. It's often the labor job, the hard. I'm not dismissing labor, by the way. I love labor jobs. I've had many for years. It's just the hard, thankless work that the public never sees, So you're in the back of the kitchen slaving over mashed potatoes, and you're digging and you're banging steel together, and night shifts in factories and remote bush work where you're way in the back of Saskatchewan or somewhere. And, that kind of thing. It's not exactly the choice positions, that you have a lot of fun every day, Of course, how many people have jobs like that, right? Okay, so here's an honest question for the people mad at the foreign workers. And I got to ask, if you really don't agree with the foreign workers' policies, if you really don't think that foreign workers should be here in Canada working, and by the way, I'm talking about Canada here, but I'm talking about around the world. When somebody from another country wants to come work in your country, how does that make you feel? What do you think about that? Do you see it as a necessity? Do you see it as something that you really should clamp down on and prevent, or in so much as just not be very picky about who can do it? It's a very complex issue, and I think a lot of people have a lot of valid sort of approaches to the issue. However, it does open itself up to a lot of sort of negative approaches to the issue, and that's the kind of thing that I'd like to sort of refuse to look at today, because I don't really want to get involved in any kind of hot arguments here. I just want to talk about some facts and get people thinking, So let me ask you this. If you were unemployed in your country and had the opportunity to make 20 times what you usually make by taking a contract in another country, would you do it? I think for a lot of people out there, of course you would, especially if any of you have kids to provide for, or you have to provide care for someone, elderly, people with special needs. I know 100% that you would take the job and be so grateful for the opportunity. I'd only have to look at my own children to make that decision. I'm literally talking about 20 times the money. If you live in Peru and you come work in Canada, there's a big jump in the value of the money between the two currencies. So you can stay down there and work and make a few bucks a day, or you can come up here and make 20 times that on a contract. I think a lot of people would consider it, and rightly so. Now, there's a gentleman named Dan Kelly in this particular article that I was reading. He said that if there were Canadians available and willing and able to do the job, then employers would be hiring them. It would actually be cheaper for them, which is total crap. Something so removed from the working person. It's a statement that only can be made by someone who doesn't relate to the average families out there. This is the same argument that keeps coming back over the years, and then just put in a different way every time, but it's the same thing again. Jason Myers, a gentleman named Jason Myers, feels the same way, adding that many companies have a genuine need for skilled labor. This is a quote, by the way. Many companies have a genuine need for skilled labor that simply isn't available in Canada. Mr. Myers, really? Is there some sort of technology in Canada that Canadians simply cannot be taught to operate? Some magical machine that Canadians lack the number of fingers it takes to, push all the buttons or something? Is a shovel something that only people from somewhere else can use? Because a lot of these temporary jobs, these temporary foreign worker jobs, are literally labor. You put your back into it jobs. Because that's what a lot of these temp jobs are all about: shovels and picks and kitchens and boxes on a factory floor. A statement like that implies that the 338,000 foreign workers here in Canada have secret skills that require a foreign education and so on. It's just blanket wrong, just all kinds of wrong everywhere. So, Mr. Myers, an employer needs a skilled laborer, but no one in the immediate area. Let's just paint a picture here for a minute. So, an employer needs a skilled laborer, but no one in the immediate area of the company has the necessary skills to operate the machine or do the task required. Okay, you follow me? Well, rather than dip into their huge idle cash reserves, which we come back to the huge amount of money that companies are making and just sitting on it, rather than spend a penny of that and use up their record profits to pay well enough for a Canadian to train or move from another area of the country, the employer hires a temp from another country and pays them less wage and doesn't have to offer them a future or care in any way. That, Mr. Myers, is far more likely than your scenario of no Canadian can do the job. He's not the only person who says these things. Okay, I'm trying not to pick on him. I don't, I'm sure he's a nice guy, right? So here's the thing, Mr. Kelly and Mr. Myers and anyone else who feels this way. There are a lot of working people out there doing contract jobs, so they have no job security. That's what contract jobs really means. Let's just get down to the bottom of it. If you're a contract worker, which a lot of Canadians are, especially due to the work up here shuts down every winter, so it's seasonal jobs. A lot of work out here is seasonal. So you have no contract. You're a contractor job, so you have no job security, no benefits, no potential for their employer to actually hire them. You're a contract worker. They will, you're literally let go at the end of your contract every time, and you renew that contract or not, right? They are seasonal workers with no work every winter that comes around, right? They have no union representation, no organizations or group to help them protect their employment interests. These people have to watch the CEO get a huge Christmas bonus, and I mean huge, thousands and thousands of dollars, right? While they wonder if they have a job next year. Once the winter comes, everybody has a fear in them. And I'm talking thousands and thousands of workers, maybe millions in Canada alone. They're all wondering if they even have a job. All the good feelings aside, yeah, I'm friends with the boss and things are looking good, and talk is cheap, right? You can hear from the company all you want that they like you and they want you back next year, and isn't that good? But they're not willing to put that in writing, are they? So it just sort of shows how strong that sort of feelings are. Anyways, they wonder if they have the job next year, knowing if they'll get a raise, it'll be a pittance compared to the company profits made off their hard work. Millions, literally millions of dollars profit from 2013 from your company and your hard work that got them there. And your raise next year, if you even get one, is 50 cents, is 25 cents, is $1. So you will get $1,000 more by the end of the year next year if you stay with us. That kind of incentive. A raise is always a good thing, don't get me wrong. Of course, we all love raises, right? But I am saying that the level of commitment from the company who is making all this money, and I mean millions of dollars profit in some cases, it doesn't come back to the guys and ladies who are making the money, who are actually turning the wheel, The CEOs get some big bonuses. You can look up online. You can look up the CEOs of various companies and what their bonuses were. There's a recent article that was just published about Canadian CEOs and who got the big bucks. Often their pay is small and the bonus is huge. Their pay is only $1 million. Oh, that's just a pittance, isn't it? And then, but the Christmas bonus, the bonus at the end of the year for doing a good job is like, 20 million. Like, yeah, I don't even know what planet these people are from. Anyways, so how do you think these Canadians, these people I'm describing here, no unions, contract worker, right? How do you think they feel about your available and willing or genuine need for skilled labor comments? How do you think, who are you talking to when you say these things? And I'm talking about major news publication here. So you're talking to the citizens of Canada. You're talking to everybody. When you say these things, it's getting published, and here we are. Now you're talking to me. Here I am reacting to what you said, And when you say available and willing, you're insulting every Canadian who needs a job right now. And whenever you say genuine need for skilled labor, you're insulting the intelligence of all people working here. Period. Insulting every university, every college. To imply that Canadians don't have the skill to do the job is absurd. Of course. Do you honestly think there are no Canadians willing and able to do a decent paying job? Do you honestly think that a Canadian with no job wouldn't take it? Or do you think it's more likely that an employer would prefer a temp foreign worker that they owe nothing to, can pay less to, and can intimidate with the threat of deportation? What do you think? Which road do you think they're rather going to go, How are we going to maintain those massive profits, right? Might be possible that hiring a foreign temp is more expensive, he says. But to an employer that doesn't want to give any potential for actual non-contract employment, doesn't want to deal with unions or benefits, well, what's that worth to them, right? So a lot, I think, and it's those terrible benefits to the company that probably outweigh the cost of the, quote, more expensive temporary worker. It might be true in some industries, in some certain ways, that hiring a temporary foreign worker through that status might be slightly more expensive than hiring an actual Canadian citizen for that particular position. However, like I say, if you hire the temporary foreign worker, you are not. It is a contract job. They do not owe you benefits. There is no union that can get behind you because you are a temporary foreign worker. So you cannot really join unions in that sense. So what's that worth, right? Maybe you pay a little bit more, so that someone else, your employee rather, has a little less, right? That's the concept there, right? So I'll say it again. Canada's corporate cash hoard was $626 billion in the last quarter of 2013. How the hell do you think they did that? By respecting their employees and families they always claim to care so much about? No, it's not likely. If you ever hear someone say the old, when we're doing well, you're doing well. Have you ever heard your company say that? When we're doing well, you're doing well. You should just laugh in their face. Well, maybe not laugh in their face. It might get you fired from your contract, go nowhere, no benefits, no future job, heaven forbid. So I guess just remember that when some company says to you, when we're doing well, you're doing well, they're actually saying, when we're doing well, you're getting screwed. And that's the pattern that we're seeing here. And this couple articles that I found, they fired me up. And so I'm glad to get this off my chest. I feel good. Woo! Wow. Yeah, no, I don't feel that good. It's still a problem, so let's not get carried away here. Now, don't get me wrong, okay? Mr. Kelly and Mr. Myers, who I mentioned in this particular show, they're not dummies, and they're not bad people. Far from it. If you read Mr. Kelly's bio on the CFIB website, for example, it's easy to see that he's a very successful bureaucrat and an executive. I can respect that. I'm sure he's even a nice guy. I'm not here to insult people. I don't slander and schoolyard name-calling stuff on this show, period, right? I will say this to Mr. Kelly and people who share his opinion. If you honestly feel this way, that Canadians are too lazy or entitled to fill the positions in the workforce, it's probably been way too long since you put on some work boots and did some hard work for low pay. I'm talking about relating to people here, so I'll just leave it at that. Since that article came out just a few days ago, the CEO of Tim Hortons, about a week ago, I guess, said that the Canadian government changes... if the Canadian government changes the temporary foreign worker legislation, it will affect the quality of service and product at the Tim Hortons coffee shops in a negative way. This is cut from the same cloth, these guys, right? For those who aren't familiar with Tim Hortons, it's a huge coffee and donut chain in Canada, without a doubt the largest in the country. Huge business, and definitely Canada's most popular coffee store, you know. Well, this guy thinks of probably his whole board of directors. They usually don't do press releases unless they all agree on the statements that are being made, you know. And this guy thinks a lot like Mr. Kelly and Mr. Myers. He feels that if his business can't hire foreign workers at a low wage with no commitment at the capacity that they do today, it will equate to less locations of the businesses that are capable of being open, lower quality of service. He suggested in the article longer wait times and such, right? And lower quality of business in general. It's the same argument again. So here's a message to you, Tim Hortons business executives. We're going to come around to this again. Why not? I hope you guys hear this. We don't need your coffee. We don't need your service. If you can't give back a significant amount of your massive profits that you gain partly because you exploit foreign workers who want an honest day's work and Canadian citizens who are willing to work for a reasonable wage, if you can't give back, then perhaps you should reconsider your business model. The public is aware of your policies. The public knows that you don't care about your employees enough to support changes to the foreign worker legislation. And we can and we will choose to go elsewhere for a coffee. I make my coffee at home. It's better and it's cheaper. I'd love to see a day where Canadians have to make their own coffees once a year. I know the whole country just stops and just thinks about that for a second. There's just no way that would ever happen in a million years up here. As it stands now, a study showed that Tim Hortons makes about 8 out of 10 coffees in Canada. Right. Everybody's buying Tim Hortons coffee. Everyone. 8 out of 10. That's just sad in my opinion. And it takes far more effort to go to a Tim Hortons or a Starbucks than it does to fill your coffee machine at home. Yeah, amazing. Tim Hortons, by the way, just announced a team up with CIBC to create a loyalty program using CIBC's Visa cards. So it'll get you points that you spend on Tim Hortons, of course, another valueless fake corporation-specific point scheme. Its real purpose is tracking your spending and making market predictions, and based on your lifestyle and your spending habits. Just what the world needs, eh? Another meaningless points card. Oh yeah, sign up today. Get out there. Turn this show off and get out there. Get those points. Get those Tim Hortons points. You need coffee more than you need information, right? Of course you don't. All right, so big business, exploited workforce, complete lack of knowledge and cultural apathy, making such an amazing country something less. This is it. In true Canadian style, I could say it could be worse. However, talking with some old folks, if you ever get the chance to speak with anybody over 60, it's almost all agreed that it will get worse. It has been getting worse for a long time. And this sort of labor issues like this, they're trending towards disaster, of course, right? So, there you have it. A little chat about temporary foreign workers. If you have any opinions on this, I'd like to know, how's your job treating you, eh? What do you think of these attitudes? What do you think of these guys saying things like this? I'd like to hear it. Please feel free to contact the show anytime by calling in at 1-844-644-TALK is our toll-free number. You can find the show on any major social networks or visit the website, talkinginyoursleepshow.com, and use any of the helpful links there to communicate with me or the other listeners. I've got a little chat box there if you ever feel like going back and forth with me or someone else on the show. Other listeners as well, of course. Believe me when I say I put the show together for your opinions, not for me to soapbox my own philosophies. So, I really want to hear them. We'll take a little break with the music. We'll be right back.
13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, ground.
Songs you hear on the show are stuff that I've produced over the years. I don't have a license to broadcast copywritten material for the show as of yet. Bother simply because it's a real spider's web when you really look at it. And as much as I love Led Zeppelin and such, perhaps a more open source to open licensed music is a better fit for the attitude of this show. So to start things out, I threw up some songs that I put together over the years. Good software stuff, good hardware stuff. Anyways, just in case you missed the first half, my name is Sean Thomson, and this is the Talking in Your Sleep show, and today we're talking about money, certain money ideas and such. In the last half, we talked about Canada's corporate cash reserves ballooning, and one aspect of how it affects us through the temporary foreign workers legislation. Please feel free to send me some thoughts about these things. I'd love to know what you think. You can email the show directly, of course, but even easier for most people is to find the show on any of the major social networks, Facebook, Google+, Twitter, or search Talking in Your Sleep Show. You'll find a lot, or you can just go to the website, talkinginyoursleepshow.com, and we have all the helpful links there as well. If you post on those social networks, doing so will open up your comments to a larger group than just myself, of course, and we'll create a door to discussion, the whole point of this show, right? So the phone number to call is 1-844-644-TALK. That's 1-844-644-8255. Or you can go to the website, talkinginyoursleepshow.com, for all the links to connect to the show. We have a Skype open. The article that I was referring to in the last segment, by the way, is called Canadian Businesses Accumulating Dead Money Faster Than Other G7 Countries. It was published by the Globe and Mail a bit ago, if anyone wants to look it up. Just search corporate Canada screws well-meaning foreigners. Just kidding. Search the title of the article. Okay, I have no idea what that'll get if you search that. Probably some good stuff, though. Don't do it, or at least I didn't tell you to do it. You go ahead and do that on your own. All right. Now another money concept I really wanted to talk about, something that's been exciting me lately, is cryptocurrencies. I have a lot of friends who know nothing about it. And the more I've looked into it and the more I've gotten involved, I meet more people who don't know anything about it, or they think they know something about it, but only in so much as it's more of a video game than it is reality. It's more of a valueless points system, much like we were talking about pony points and air miles and Tim Hortons points and things like this. Anyways, but it's not, and so I'd like to spend a minute talking about it. A lot of people are now familiar with Bitcoin, for example, with all the press and such. It's been really dug into our culture now for a while, and it's gaining popularity. But when I talk with people about other currencies that are out there, it's usually just confusion or denial, or people just don't know. So let's talk about it for a minute or two. A bit of a refresher for the more experienced, and maybe an introduction for people who have no idea what cryptocurrencies and digital currencies are all about. So we'll start with a little bit of a fact about Bitcoin here. The clever man named Satomi created the Bitcoin in 2009. I'm not going to bore you with the history of it all. All that's online and easy to find. Suffice it to say that it was a very good idea. Incidentally, the smallest increment of a Bitcoin, that's a 0 point, and then 7 more zeros and a 1, is named after him, the one Satomi. If you have one Satomi, you're very far from wealthy. But you should feel honored to have a slice of a new idea in currency. It's pretty historical stuff, in my opinion. So in 2010, a Bitcoin was worth about $1 US, and by 2012, it peaked at about $1,100 a coin. Currently, it's sitting at about $600 US or so, and it goes up and down a bit there. And it's been pretty stable, though. It's been stable and rising in value for some time. So, does it have value? Oh, yes, it definitely does have a lot of value. One coin, $600, and you can actively sell that to somebody, and somebody actively wants that for $600, and no problem. So it's real. It's out there. So, digital currency has value. We'll talk about why it has value at all, though. Digital currency has value because people give it value. Unlike our fiat money that's backed by gold or backed by the promise of value, digital currencies are worth what people will pay for them. This is, of course, a really hard concept for a lot of people to wrap their heads around, and it seems very unstable and sketchy at best. And those people aren't half wrong. New cryptocurrencies start up all the time. Some of them have dug in and established themselves as something of value, and others have faded and waned to truly nothing. I mean, at least the Zimbabwe dollars were made of paper, right? At least that's something. You can do something with paper. Anyways, there are some rules to the game. For example, unlike our Canadian dollar, the US dollar, or the euro, there is a fixed amount of Bitcoins in the world, and there will only ever be that amount. This simple fact alone gives them value, whereas governments just print more money when they need it, which of course is hell for inflation and devaluation of money. The Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies will never suffer that kind of attack on its value. The number, by the way, is 21 million for Bitcoin. Other digital money has fewer or more, but 21 million coins is the only amount. That's the most coins that are going to be out there ever. There will never be more created than 21 million, period, right? They get their value because people actually using it, people use it for goods and services. You don't have to look too far to find places that accept Bitcoin, Litecoin, and such for everything from haircuts to web design to Peruvian villas and sports cars. Try typing Bitcoin into Google Maps and see what I mean. Usebitcoins.info has put together a nice little site for finding stuff to buy with them too. There's other sites as well. There's another good. I know there's at least one more good map site out there showing people where they can spend their Bitcoins. Cryptocurrencies typically have very low fees, sometimes none at all, and are often anonymous and fast to send and receive. Anyone who stood in a bank lineup or paid 5 to 15% transaction fees can appreciate that. Very low transfer fees, very low and very accurate and very fast transferring of money. If I want to send, if I go to my bank and I want to send $35,000 to somebody, I have no idea why I would ever want to do that. It doesn't even cross my mind. But if I did, it might take a few days to process that transaction. There's a lot of confirmations that have to happen, and then there's fees, of course, the processing fees, right? Not true with Bitcoin and other digital currencies, right? Now, there are, of course, the downsides, too, right? They're certainly unpredictable in a classic money sense. They're a new money, after all, right? They have no physical substance, and you can lose your whole wallet, your digital wallet, as easily as you might forget your email password. And from a computer and internet side of things, they're still in development. They have a lot of potential, but little functionality compared to the money we know and use every day, of course. Oh, yeah, scary, isn't it? No, not really. I don't think there's many people putting their whole life savings or retirement nest eggs in digital money. The average person keeps a useful amount in a digital wallet for day-to-day shopping and online purchases. A lot of people are playing currency exchanges to buy and sell these coins for profit, usually amassing a significant amount of them and then selling them for the good old fiat everyday, what we come to consider normal money. They're mining them, of course, creating new ones, right? But the absolutely fascinating thing about the cryptocurrencies is why they exist and where the trend for them is going, which is, it's absolutely amazing. When you consider the history of the world, this is another one of those groundbreaking moments, in my opinion, that will definitely make its mark from here on in. Let me give you a couple examples, okay? Now, forget about the Bitcoin for a moment. Bitcoin is amazing in itself, and it's certainly started the ball rolling. But let's talk about a few of the other coins out there that Bitcoin has inspired, directly or indirectly. One of my favorites is without a doubt the Aurora coin. All right, there's a lot of these different coins out there, by the way. If you're completely unfamiliar with this, there's a lot. But let's talk about Aurora coin. Okay, it is the digital dollar for Iceland. Now, did you know that for the past 5 years, all Icelanders have had to turn over all their foreign money to the Central Bank of Iceland? Since their money collapsed really hard, the government imposed capital control, stifling the country's international trade, causing foreign investing to ignore Iceland pretty much completely, and just all around imposing on the financial freedoms that many people elsewhere take for granted. So some clever people have put together the Aurora coin. It's based on Litecoin, which on the computer math side is very similar to Bitcoin. It is both reasonably stable and proven to work the way that a good old cryptocurrency should work. It's already 50% mined. That is that it's been created and distributed to the people of Iceland. This is, of course, to encourage people to actually use it and get it in sort of cultural circulation. So when they created the coin, the first thing they did was send it out to every single person in Iceland has a share, or if you like, an amount of Aurora coin, just for being an Icelander. It's not official from the government of Iceland, although the government has let the developers use their authentication system. It offers a solution to a dying and valueless currency. It allows people to financially grow and move money around on an international stage that is currently being strangled by banks and bureaucracy, right? If the people will use it, it will be nothing short of a savior for many poor and low-income families who are typically suffer from the most from inflation and valueless money. It's so the people are taking the finances into their own hands, where the government and banks can't give them value for their hard work, services and trades and goods. It's neat, eh? Yeah, basically, we don't need you attitude, but still working closely with the government, trying to be official, trying to be legal. It's pretty amazing. That's revolutionary right there. So let's talk about another creative use of the digital currency. Some clever game developers out there have created the Hypercoin. Now, the coins be used in development for a space MMO, space video game. So while you're zapping aliens and conquering worlds and exploring vast galaxies for their resources, you are creating, earning, and spending Hypercoin within the game. But Hypercoin has real-world value, and the developers hope to have it used to pay for all kinds of online gaming, anything that relates to gaming and MMO environments, just general. So gaming for real money sounds extremely appealing, especially for the hardcore guys and gals out there who need a new challenge in the MMO video game world, right? So it's a coin for a game, but it has real value. and it can be used for gaming or exchanged for any fiat currency. It's so good, and what they're hoping for is, for example, you want a World of Warcraft subscription. Well, you could pay for it in Hypercoin instead of your cash coin, right? Namecoin is used to register websites in a decentralized way. Peercoin is used to send financial transactions with really strong security. Darkcoin is extremely anonymous transactions. That's their focus. And Devcoin is for supporting developers and programmers. I think you see where I'm going with all this. Cryptocurrencies are evolving to be a task or environment specific, but their individual values still have the flexibility to exchange for other types of digital money, or regular old boring but hopefully forever useful fiat money, right? So why would you want to use these coins instead of purchasing things with your country's money, right? We already have systems set up to accept money in any form. Simple, and this is the part that's really exciting. This is the simple answer. Why would you want a Bitcoin at all? Why would you want a Namecoin? You'd want to use these coins because you're going to get more value for your dollar than if you used your fiat money, right? In theory, people will want to pay for online gaming stuff with Hypercoin because they'll get more online gaming things for their Hypercoins than they would if they paid in US dollars or Canadian dollars or euros, right? Not to mention the taxes and the transfer fees that can come with your purchases. Most digital currencies have little or none at all of that. Such a simple thing, giving and getting value for the aspects of our lives, and these coins are a new way of expressing that concept in a way that is secure, fair, and so interesting, You're going to get more, by using them, you're going to get more for your buck. You are going to get more value for your spending. And no taxation, very little taxation. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Well, I hope you think that's pretty amazing. I think it's pretty amazing. Sorry to bother you with a money chat. I thought you might find that really interesting there. Next show, we'll talk about TV shows and top 40 FM radio. And no, we won't. No, we won't. We'll get deeper into these amazing ideas. I want to hear for your thoughts about these things or anything else you want to talk about. Give me a call on the toll-free number, 1-844-644-TALK. That's 1-844-644-8255. Anytime there. Hop onto the major social networks and add and friend and plus the show there. Leave a comment. And, of course, there is a rock-solid website, talkinginyoursleepshow.com, where you can find easy links to all these things, chat window, or email me your thoughts anytime. So, thanks very much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I hope to hear from you soon. Take care of yourselves. And have a good evening.
What's your name? Nice to meet you.